Listeners, NerdWallet wants you to let them do the work for you. Looking for auto insurance? The Nerds will match you with top providers in your area in just a few questions. So getting the right rate for you is as simple as going to nerdwallet.com. After all, letting NerdWallet do the work is more than smart. It's genius. Not all applicants will qualify for the lowest monthly payments. NerdWallet Insurance Services Incorporated. California resident license number OK92033. The Rachel Hollis Podcast is proudly sponsored by Amica Insurance. As Amica says, empathy is our best policy. That's why they'll go above and beyond to tailor your insurance coverage to best fit your needs. Whether you're on the road, at home, or traveling along life's journey, their friendly and knowledgeable representatives will work with you to ensure that you have the right coverage in place. Amica will provide you with peace of mind. Go to amica.com to get a quote today. Have you ever felt like your life doesn't quite fit anymore? The things that used to excite you don't, or the conversations you used to love having just feel kind of draining. Do you feel like you're craving more, but you're not really sure what more is? That's not you being lost. That's you outgrowing who you used to be. And it's something I have encountered so many times in my life when I've transitioned out of jobs, when I've changed careers completely, when I've changed relationships or had to break up with friends. Those are all moments where you are outgrowing and evolving, and very rarely do they feel completely good. Even if you know you're doing the right thing for you, it can still feel really sucky to do it. But it doesn't mean that you should avoid doing the thing that's going to make you the best version of yourself. Hi, I'm Rachel, and in this show, we talk about everything: life and work, health and healing, relationships with others and with ourselves. These are stories for the seekers. These are conversations for the curious. This is the Rachel Hollis Podcast. Hey guys, it's Rach. Welcome back to the show. If you're new here, if someone shared this with you, it means they really like you and they think you are one of our kinds of people. I am Rachel Hollis, and this podcast is all about helping you to create real and lasting change in your life. So whether it's talking about mindset or habits or your confidence or the way that you show up for yourself every single day, this is a place where we talk about tactical things that actually make a difference. We've been doing this show for over 8 years. We have 250 million downloads. So I think we're onto something with this community. Each week we share ideas, strategies, and real talk to help you step into the best version of yourself, because I think that we all deserve a life that lights us up. And today's episode is a really good one to start with, because we're talking about something that so many of us experience but don't always recognize. What happens when you start outgrowing your life? What happens when you are feeling like something's calling to you, but you don't really know what it is? If you've been feeling stuck or restless or like you're craving something more, this episode is for you. Let's jump in. It's kind of bananas to me that I've never thought of this idea before for a show, because so much of the work that we've done as a team over the last 8 years is about helping you to create change, whether that's Girl Wash Your Face or What If You Were the Answer, podcast episodes or Start Today episodes or Rise Conference or Rise Business. Like, we have created so much content over the last 15 years of doing this work and over the last 8 years of doing this show. And it's always about this idea, like, can we share tactics and wisdom and experts and all of this stuff that will help you find your unique path to success in whatever area of your life that you're working on. So we're always talking about change and growth. And to be honest, I tend to talk about growth and change as these really positive things. And yes, they are hard. And yes, we have to work for them and figure them out. But I can't believe I've never done an episode on the parts of change that are really hard. Specifically, outgrowing your life feels confusing. Realizing that it's time to turn the page, but being worried about leaving other people behind is scary. Getting to a new elevation is amazing until you realize that you're up there all by yourself. It can feel lonely. You know things are shifting, but you don't know what's coming next. And that can make you want to take your foot off the gas. That can make you want to pull the covers over your head. Oh my gosh, let's talk about it. Let's talk about what happens when we start to outgrow our lives and what are the signs that that may be the space you find yourself in right now, and what can you do about it when it happens. So if you've been feeling restless or your usual routines or relationships or even your own thoughts don't feel aligned anymore, that's a big sign that you're evolving, and that's a good thing, even if it feels really hard sometimes. Have you ever felt like your life doesn't quite fit anymore? The things that used to excite you don't, or the conversations you used to love having just feel kind of draining. Do you feel like you're craving more, but you're not really sure what more is? That's not you being lost. That's you outgrowing who you used to be. And it's something I have encountered so many times in my life when I've transitioned out of jobs, when I've changed careers completely, when I've changed relationships or had to break up with friends. Those are all moments where you are outgrowing and evolving. And very rarely do they feel completely good. Even if you know you're doing the right thing for you, it can still feel really sucky to do it. But it doesn't mean that you should avoid doing the thing that's going to make you the best version of yourself. So before we get into this conversation, I have a little asterisk that I want to add right here at the top, because we're going to talk about when you're feeling like you want more in life, when you feel like there's more out there, something's calling to you, but you don't know what it is. I want to start by saying that I'm going to say this badly because I don't know the exact perfect way to put this. I just want to tell it to you as if you were my friend. We're having coffee and I'm just real talking you. If you are feeling like that and you don't know what to do, the answer is not to have a baby. I hope some of you just laughed because you know what's up. The answer is not to get a dog. The answer is not to plan another vacation or remodel your kitchen for the third time. Women especially, I know men do this too, but this is a girl thing. Women feel this yearning to make change, to shake life up and to feel more purpose and to feel more passion. And there are certain acceptable avenues where women are allowed to society, like we're allowed to remodel the kitchen. We're allowed to want to have another baby. We're allowed to get a puppy. All of these things are celebrated and normal. But saying that you feel a calling to change your life and you need to break up with your partner of 20 years, that's not acceptable to society. Saying that you feel called to take on your trauma, so you're going to go to trauma therapy and really dig in and unpack Pandora's box, that is not something society loves for us to do. There are things that we will naturally gravitate to because they are different, they are accessible, and we know people will love and support us for them. Don't do that. The amount of people who have another baby when really they should be breaking up with their partner, trying to save a relationship by creating another human, absolutely so awful, but so many people do it. Knowing that you're in a job that's a dead end that you absolutely hate and just obsessing over next summer's vacation because you're literally living your life for the escape from the job you hate rather than facing the fact that you hate your job. They're like all of these things that you can do that are distractions and numbing techniques, and often will make your life more challenging in certain ways. So I did not say that perfectly, and it's not going to make sense to everybody. What someone right now needs to hear me say, do not get a mini schnauzer. Or do. They're wonderful. Don't get a puppy. Don't get pregnant. Don't do the thing that seems easy to reach for rather than facing the truth of your life. Let's be a community that has the courage to look at reality, to look at what is true, not what is emotional, but what is true, and then make change based on that. I promise it's going to be so much better. And by the way, if you get to the change that you want to make and then you want to have a baby and then you want to get a puppy and then you want to plan a vacation, fantastic. But don't use something that huge as the numbing mechanism to the things you don't want to face. All right. Number 1, because you guys know I love a list and you love a list. So let's start the list. 6 signs you're outgrowing your old life. Number 1, the things that once excited you no longer do. This is like you used to be obsessed with a hobby, with a career goal that you had, or even like a TV show. And now it just doesn't hit. You're just not feeling it the same way. You just honestly don't care about that thing like you used to. It's not that there is something wrong with you. You're evolving, and that's awesome. Now, it doesn't always feel awesome, and we'll come back to this again and again and again in today's conversation. It doesn't feel awesome if the people that you love are still at the old place, if they're the kind of people that are going to try and guilt you for evolving away from where they are. That's a whole other thing that we're going to talk about. But let's just start with this one. If things that used to excite you don't excite you anymore, it's a sign. This is not the same thing as nothing excites you. Like you're really having a hard time feeling motivated to get out of bed, you're really struggling. That is something you need to talk about with your doctor. That's a very different thing. That feels like depression. This that I'm talking about is you still have the energy, you still are going through life, you're still doing the things, but you're kind of bummed out because you used to love to go watch football on Sundays at the bar with your friends, and like it just kind of feels stupid now. Or it feels like a waste, or you're like, I'd rather be at home reading a book, or I'd rather be doing yoga, or like, honestly, I just don't really like the taste of beer anymore. Your body, your spirit, everything's evolving away from a certain way of life. That's totally okay. In fact, that's the whole point. So pay attention to any moment where you're forcing yourself to go places or forcing yourself to try and like things that you don't like. Now, here's the antidote. Here's what we're going to do about it. If you find yourself in that place, get curious about what excites you now. The awesome part about evolution is that you're a whole new person. You are a totally different person, and you are on a cellular level. You are constantly shedding cells and growing new ones. You are a different person than you used to be a decade ago. Get to know this version of you. What do they like? What are they interested in? Aim to try on new things, like try a new experience, read a different kind of book, have a conversation with someone new. Try things that feel aligned with who you are today. Do you even know who you are today? Get to know this person. Like, go on Google and find 20 questions to ask someone on a first date. Go ask like AI. Just be like, give me 20 questions to ask someone on a first date so that I can get to know them better, and then answer those questions for yourself. Don't answer out of habit. Answer like, okay, what does this version of me like to do on a weekend? Because if you haven't asked yourself in a while, maybe you don't even know. So the good news here is if your interests are shifting, it means that you're shifting. So let yourself do that. Allow yourself to expand instead of clinging to who you used to be. Second sign you are outgrowing your old life. Certain relationships feel forced or feel draining. Notice that some friendships, like your high school friends or the people from your old job, feel like an obligation instead of a connection? Let me just say that again. Where do you have relationships that feel like an obligation instead of a connection? This show is sponsored by BetterHelp. There's so many fun memes on social media, so many conversations about things like red flags, beige flags, but what about green flags? Meaning, what about understanding and unpacking what would really matter to you in a relationship? Not just with a romantic partner, but also with your friends. Whether you're dating, married, building a friendship, or just working on yourself, it's time to form relationships that love you back. BetterHelp is fully online, making therapy affordable and convenient. They serve over 5 million people worldwide. They have access to a diverse network of more than 30,000 credentialed therapists with a wide range of specialties. Discover your relationship green flags with BetterHelp. Visit betterhelp.com/rach to get 10% off your first month. That's BetterHelp, HELP.com/rach. The New Balance 1080 is the ultimate daily trainer, combining reliable comfort and top-tier performance. I live in my sneakers. I use them to walk around the block, to run around my neighborhood, and to get all the chores done in a day that I need to as a working mom. So whether you're logging miles or running errands, the 1080 seamlessly transitions from the coffee shop to the grocery store, to the podcast studio, or wherever else you've got to get things done. The New Balance 1080 features a cushioned midsole for secure support and comfort, while the totally lightweight, breathable mesh upper keeps your feet cool and fresh on every run. Shop the 1080 at newbalance.com. Where are you in relationship with people where you're having conversations and they feel repetitive or surface level? This happens so often with friends that we had when we were younger that we feel obligated to still interact with, even though we have nothing in common. Like your high school friends or the kids you grew up with, you get together with them. This is a major red flag. And the only thing you can talk about is when you were kids. Like you repeat the same 10 stories and laugh about the same 10 stories, and there's nothing new. And you try to have conversations about who you are today or where you are today, and so flat. I did this recently with a childhood friend, and we were so close for so long, and I have so much love for her. And probably once every 5 years, we'll meet up for coffee. And there's such a yearning, I think, in both of our hearts because we were such special people to each other to reconnect. And so we meet for coffee. And every time we meet, I'm feeling, and I'm positive she's feeling like, oh, bummer. It's just, we live such different lives. We are interested in such different things. We were besties, honestly, because of geography. We went to the same school. We ended up in the same place doing similar things. So we were friends for a very long time. We have nothing in common anymore. Most importantly, we don't have similar values. We don't care about the same things. We're not reading the same books. The conversation over coffee is like, how's your family? Oh, remember that time in high school? Oh, did you hear about this person? And it's just like, there's no life there at all. And I swear, every time we leave, we hug each other, love you, whatever. And I'm positive we both walk away from that experience like, well, we did that. Don't need to do that again. We have outgrown each other. And it is possible to have so much love and appreciation for people that it no longer makes sense for you to be in a relationship with. So if something feels forced, if it feels draining, like that is such a huge thing to pay attention to, guys. If you go interact with your friend, your cousin, your coworker, and you don't leave the experience filled up, that's a sign that this is not a thriving relationship. Of course, we have interactions with people we love and care about. Maybe we had to talk about a hard thing, or maybe we weren't there that day and the vibe was low, whatever. I'm not saying every time needs to be 10 out of 10, but if the majority of the time you hang out with this person, you don't feel good when you leave them, huge red flag. You are evolving away from this friendship or this relationship, and that is okay. You don't have to cut people off, but it's okay to create space for friendships and relationships that feel more fulfilling and aligned with who you are today. Seek out expanders. I gave this advice recently in an episode on how to feel more in love with your life, because it's true. You want to feel more in love with your life, or in this case, you want to continue to evolve in a way that feels good. You need to be with people who make you feel inspired, even challenged, but just excited about life. Pay attention when it feels forced or it drains you. The other thing you really have to pay attention, really listen to this one, guys, is when you are with someone and you can't be yourself. If you are with someone and you are dressing differently, if you're speaking differently, if you are, being small and demure, if you're saying certain things that you wouldn't say in other spaces because, these people are really conservative, really religious. So when you get around them, you kind of say the things you know they will want you to say. That is such a major red flag. Are you dressing differently? You're doing your hair differently? In my first marriage, my in-laws were very conservative, and I absolutely felt like I needed to be an ideal for them. And I tried. I tried for a very long time. It never worked, by the way. You will never please the people who don't love and get you as you are. You just won't. And it's such a waste of energy, and it hurts your heart, and it makes you feel small and less than. So just don't do it. But if you're not sure if that's you, it's the best filter I can give you is, are you changing yourself to go into those interactions? Are you dating someone new and you really feel like the version of yourself is more natural and more casual, but an old way of being tells you that you need to be sexy and put on a lot of makeup and do your hair? Are you showing up differently for people than feels authentic to you? Growth usually means outgrowing. It just does. You're going to outgrow certain relationships. That's not rejection, that's expansion. Third sign that you are outgrowing an old way of life, you feel restless. You're feeling restless. You're craving something, especially when you're like, I'm craving something, but I don't know what it is. You're feeling restless. You're feeling like your life is monotonous. Here's another one. You feel jealous. You look at other people's lives, you look at other people's jobs, careers, you see them taking a trip, and you hear that voice in the back of your head snidely saying like, oh, must be nice. Must be nice to go out on a date. Must be nice to have a babysitter. Must be nice to take a trip. Oh, must be nice to have a job where you get to wear that outfit. That is your spirit pointing out to you a life that you would prefer. If you get so wrapped up in jealousy over her life that you don't realize that that's actually something you would be interested in, everything about that thought process is toxic. If you feel bored in your life, but you can't quite put your finger on why, or if you're like, I'm so blessed, like I don't understand, this is everything I wanted. Oh, I have experienced this so many times in my career where I will set a big goal and then I get there and I'm like, I don't understand. This is everything I wanted. I was an event planner in Los Angeles for a very long time. And for years and years and years, all I wanted was to make a certain revenue number and to have a team who would help me and to have a beautiful office. And I worked forever and I finally got there. Had this beautiful loft in downtown LA. There was a valet just for the people who had offices there. You could drive up to the valet. They knew your name. They'd take your car. I felt so fancy. I'd go up to this cool loft with all of these cool teammates and we'd do this cool work. And I just remember realizing that I had gotten to exactly where I wanted to go and I didn't like it. It wasn't fulfilling at all. I wasn't excited anymore. I think that chasing that goal had become way more exciting to me than actually living the life the goal would provide. But sometimes you don't know that until you're there. It's not that you're hating your current life. It's just that it feels like there's more. So again, if this is something you resonate with, follow your curiosity. Pay attention to books or podcasts or ideas that you are naturally drawn to. You know I'm woo-woo all day long. And I really believe when something keeps sparking in your mind, when you keep seeing something, when you keep hearing the same phrase or the same experience or the same podcast to listen to, I really think that that is God tapping you on the shoulder. That is like your guides being like, hey, Brian, hey, yeah, there's a reason we keep showing you this book. I just had this happen this week where I kept hearing about the same book forever and ever, like just over and over. I was seeing it everywhere. I had bought this book years ago when it came out, tried to read it, and felt like it was over my head. And this happens. Like this happened with Joe Dispenza. If you've ever read his books, they're very dense and they're pretty hard to absorb if you've never read anything in that space before. So similarly, there was this book several years ago, got it, and I was just like, I don't get it. I don't understand why people love this so much. It's just not for me. But I kept seeing it and I was like, you know what? That book's on my shelf. I'm just going to go find it and see if there's something there. So I go look for it yesterday and it's not on my shelf, which is classic. I am the queen of giving books away. If anyone comes to my house, there's just this wall of color-coded books because I'm slightly crazy. They'll always comment on them. They're like, oh, wow, look at all that. I'm like, yeah, do you need something? Let me recommend. So I for sure have given this book away, which was a bummer because I really wanted to read it and felt like the universe was telling me to read it. And so I just got it on audio and I started listening to it yesterday. And I was like, the very first part, I'm like, here we go again. No offense, but I don't care about your backstory. I don't have a lot of time, so I didn't want to hear about this guy's like childhood on the East Coast and like I'm so awful, I guess. I don't know. I want just the facts, ma'am. You know what I mean? Like I want the tactics and I want the advice, and people kept telling me there was such good wisdom in it, but I was just reading about this guy's childhood. And so when I start listening to the audiobook, I'm like, I must be missing something. So I go to the chapters and part 1 is like his childhood. And I'm like, okay, let's go to part 2. OMG. Just what a gift. So much wisdom. Can't believe I didn't read it before. But also, I think that that's how things unfold, is that we receive the teachings when we're ready to learn from them. I don't think I would have been ready to learn from this when it first came out. I think it's hitting me exactly when I needed it at exactly the right time. Follow your curiosity and listen to the nudges that you are getting about what to do next. When you're feeling restless, craving something, but you don't know what it is, it's a fabulous time for a vision boarding session. Fabulous. It's a great moment to start journaling. It's a great opportunity to start to daydream and to visualize what could be. Fall in love with possibility. Like, oh, what if I did this? What if I did this? And see if any of the ideas that are coming to your mind really light your heart up. Restlessness is not a sign that something is wrong. It is a sign that you are ready for the next level. Number 4, the 4th sign that you might be outgrowing your old life, you feel uncomfortable inside of old patterns. So these are the habits, the routines, and especially the coping mechanisms that once felt normal and now don't work. They feel off, they feel wrong. Maybe you used to scroll endlessly on social media and now you go scroll and you're like, this is dumb. Like it's all the same video. They're all saying the same thing. There's nothing new here.
Did you know that skincare can start in the laundry room? All Free Clear is the #1 laundry detergent brand recommended by dermatologists, allergists, and pediatricians for sensitive skin. All Free Clear is 100% free of dyes and perfumes. It provides an effective clean that's gentle on skin while removing impurities like dirt and body oil without leaving irritating residues. Plus, All Free Clear Liquid is Safer Choice certified by the U.S. EPA. For a clean you can feel good about, all you need is All Free Clear.
Are you still quoting 30-year-old movies? Have you said cool beans in the past 90 days? Do you think Discover isn't widely accepted? If this sounds like you're stuck in the past. Discover is accepted at 99% of places that take credit cards nationwide. And every time you make a purchase with your card, you automatically earn cash back. Welcome to the now. It pays to Discover. Learn more at discover.com/credit card based on the February 2024 Nielsen report.
A lot of people sort of get that gut reaction and then just keep scrolling because they don't know what else to do. Close your phone and allow yourself to be bored and let the boredom guide you. Seriously. So much creativity comes out of being bored, but very few human beings will actually allow themselves to feel that way. So if you're feeling like I've been playing Candy Crush for 12 years, is really not doing anything for me, listen to that and see what else might be there for you. Another big one that I think a lot of us can resonate with is like having a drink. It became such a habit for me inside of COVID, and this like carried on for years. And then these were hard years. I was going through a divorce, and my children's father died, and so many things happened that it became really normal for me to have a drink at night. Just like one drink, calm me down, like make me feel relaxed, have a little vodka LaCroix, or I'm going to have some red wine, or I'm going to have whatever. And it became very habitual, and it didn't really affect my life negatively. Like I'm certain that I would be better, clearer mind, better sleep, all of those things if I didn't have alcohol at all. But like one drink a night didn't feel like that big a deal. It just didn't. Like I was like, man, if my vice is one drink a night and coffee, there could be a lot worse things in life. And then at some point in the last, I'd say year, 18 months, which if a therapist was sitting here with me, they'd be like, yeah, because you are slowly feeling safer and you are doing your therapy and you're feeling better and you're feeling calmer and you're feeling more grounded. Nothing changed, but I just like, I would have like, oh, I'm going to go in and have a drink after work. I say go in because I work in my backyard. So I go in the house, I'm making dinner, I'm going to pour a glass of red wine, let's say. And it just, I don't know, it's so weird. It just didn't taste good anymore. And I was like, oh, maybe it's like a beer. And I'm like, well, I don't really care about. And then I realized like, oh, something in my spirit just doesn't align with this anymore. And it feels weird. And I started to limit, okay, well, I'm just not going to drink during the week. Or, okay, it's the weekend, but does this feel celebratory? Does this feel like something special? Because sometimes having just like an icy cold beer is so lovely. There's a really great gluten-free version called Dora, Daura. Not an ad, just delicious. Like sometimes having an icy cold version of that, oh, wow, what a gift. But now it feels like this celebratory thing. It is no longer a habit. And by the way, you feel so much better. It changes. You want a flatter stomach? Stop drinking. You want to wake up with more pep in your step? Don't have alcohol. Like there is literally so much data to back up the fact that if we all wanted perfect health, we would not drink ever. And I'm not saying I'm that person, but I certainly hit a point where just alcohol didn't taste that good anymore. And so I just stopped having it. Pay attention to areas where it used to be absolutely or like, yes, to everything about this. And now you're feeling like, I don't know. Did you start doing therapy and all of a sudden you healing changed your personality in a way that other people don't like as much? Woo, who needs to hear that right now? Who did some therapy, started to put boundaries in place, and then other people didn't like it as much? Who did some therapy, started to heal themselves, and they're no longer the life of the party? They're no longer interested in tap dancing for everyone and entertaining everybody. They're no longer used to, doing a keg stand and like doing all the things. They're like, that's not me anymore. When you feel uncomfortable in your old patterns, listen to that discomfort. It is showing you the areas you are no longer aligned. And when you see those, babe, you have to replace the old habits with new ones that feel more reflective of who you are now. Or if you're like, well, I don't really know who I am now. Okay, make a choice based on who you want to be. Make a choice based on the future best version of you. How would they live out this day? What would they do next? Okay, number 5. Fifth sign that you are outgrowing your life, you have a bigger vision for yourself. You're starting to think bigger. You're thinking bigger about your career, your relationships, your future. You are no longer interested in just getting by. You want to thrive. I feel like people come into the ecosystem with me, they come into this community sometimes when they're at the beginning of the journey and they're like, I want to change. I have no idea how. And then sometimes people come in because they're like, I already know that change is awesome and I want to get to the next level. So it doesn't matter where you are on this journey. Both of those are calling to you for a bigger vision. This looks like you wanting more from your life. And so you're willing to ask more of yourself. But it also looks like maybe a little scary because you have to step into an unknown. If you feel like you have a bigger vision for your life and you are unsure what to do next, please take this advice. Don't share the vision. Okay? Not maybe what you thought I was going to say. Don't share the vision. Allow me to explain. I want you to imagine that you are a bird. You are a sparrow. Let's pick a beautiful bird. You are a sparrow and you're flying around with the sparrows and you're doing well and you're beautiful birds and it's a whole vibe. And you start working on yourself and you work on yourself and you do the therapy and you change and you evolve and you get great habits and you build a foundation and it's like a flywheel. The momentum kicks in and you start to see growth and then exponential growth. And then one day you look down at your wings and realize you have become an eagle. You are no longer a sparrow. You are an eagle. You have worked so hard and grown so much that you are an eagle. The problem is that you're still flying with a bunch of sparrows. And I don't know if you know this, but I looked it up so that I could give you this example. An eagle can fly up to 10,000 feet in the air. Google says that eagles are known to soar at much greater altitudes due to their larger wingspan and their ability to utilize thermal air more effectively. So they have more knowledge and they have more strength, and that allows them to reach heights that a sparrow, who can, by the way, only fly a few hundred feet in the air, cannot achieve. Some of you are eagles flying around with sparrows, and you haven't realized that none of these other birds can fly at the same height as you. But when you stay down at their level, you keep yourself from the altitude, the height, the possibility, the success that you could be achieving. So if you have a bigger vision for yourself, my advice, don't share your eagle vision, which is 10,000 feet in the air, with sparrows who can only see a few hundred. It doesn't make the sparrows bad. They're beautiful, wonderful creatures, but they cannot see at your height. So stop wasting your energy trying to convince them to see what you can see. If you want to be the future version of you, start acting as if. How would the future version of you live out this day? What would he do? What would she wear? What would he eat? How would she speak to people? How would she speak to herself? Act as if you are already that person and you get closer and closer to actually becoming that person. The desire to change, the desire to become a bigger version of yourself, it is not selfish. It is your next calling. It is you leveling to the next place. I really like that sparrow eagle analogy, you guys. I'm not going to lie. Your sixth sign that you're outgrowing your old life feels too small. It feels too claustrophobic. You are feeling a disconnect between the life that you are living and the life that you want to be living. Things that used to feel safe now feel limiting. They feel claustrophobic. And yes, it is scary to step into the unknown, but you also cannot stay where you are. Along this topic, I have something that I've written that I think will be really helpful, so I would love to read it to you guys. My favorite yoga teacher is a wise older man who, deeply on brand, wears tie-dye almost exclusively and travels everywhere with his own harmonium. I happened to take his class on a full moon once, and he mentioned that particular full moon happened to fall under Scorpio. I don't know much about astrology, so I can't even tell you what month it was, but I look for signs and lessons in anything. So after class, I Googled scorpions. I never said I was cool, you guys. In my little research project, I was struck by several things. The first is that in order for a scorpion to grow bigger, it must completely shed its skin first. Its exoskeleton must be hard in order to keep it safe, which is awesome if you're battling a tarantula, but terrible if you'd like to expand in size or strength. If it wants to grow any bigger than it currently is, the scorpion must first remove its entire outer layer. Based on an image search, I can tell you that nothing about that process seems easy. In fact, when the scorpion sheds her armor, the shell she leaves behind looks very much like a lifeless version of herself. I couldn't help but wonder how tight and claustrophobic it must have been, constantly pushing against walls that were unable to expand with her. How long did she try to fit inside that smaller version of herself simply because it was easier? How scary it must have been to decide to evolve, knowing the transition would be deeply painful. When did I start seeing my story playing out in the life cycle of scorpions? Just wait, it gets even more poignant. The other beautiful lesson that I learned is that when the scorpion finally makes the decision to leave her armor behind, she must live, sometimes for several days, completely vulnerable, without any protective coverings. My guess is that some of you are in a season like that, a time when you feel raw and exposed and without your armor. It's so easy in those moments to want to cling to what you know, to crawl back into a skin that no longer fits because at least it comes with certainty. I know this feeling well. Having gone through harsh, self-appointed transitions many times in my life, I can tell you this. The pain of suffocating in a life too small to accommodate our wholeness is far worse than the discomfort of metamorphosis. You, my sweet friend, were not made to be limited by fear. You were made to carve out your own beautiful version of magnificence. Your next evolution will never be found inside a shell that can't support the incredible thing you're becoming. That is from my new book, What If You Are the Answer? It's all about questions that we can ask ourselves to more fully learn who we are, who we're becoming, and how we're going to get there. If you like the sound of my voice, it is available in audio narrated by me, or you can grab it wherever books are sold or borrow it from your friend or get it from the library for free. But it is really helpful. So if you've liked today's conversation, I think you will dig the book too. Here's the big thing, guys. Give yourself permission to expand. You are allowed to step into new chapters. You are not just allowed, but you are called. You are called to step into something new. I think that is the entire point of being here on this planet, is to grow and learn and to use how we're growing and what we're learning to help ourselves and those around us. Instead of clinging to what feels safe, move toward what feels right. Moving to the next level doesn't mean that the last level was wrong. It just wasn't big enough for who you are. If any of these ideas hit home for you, please take it as confirmation that you are on the right track and you are evolving and you are stepping into a new season, and that is a good thing. I hope you will consider sharing this with someone that you think might find value in it as well. And if it resonated for you, please consider subscribing. We put out a new podcast episode Monday through Friday, and we would just love it if you were in this community with us. We will be back soon with more ideas and conversations. Until then, as always, I love you and I'm rooting for you. The Rachel Hollis Podcast is produced by me, Rachel Hollis. It's edited by Andrew Weller and Jack Noble.
Did you know that skincare can start in the laundry room? All Free Clear is the #1 laundry detergent brand recommended by dermatologists, allergists, and pediatricians for sensitive skin. All Free Clear is 100% free of dyes and perfumes. It provides an effective clean that's gentle on skin while removing impurities like dirt and body oil without leaving irritating residues. Plus, All Free Clear Liquid is Safer Choice certified by the US EPA. For a clean you can feel good about, all you need is All Free Clear.
Hi, I'm Katie Nolan from the internet and cable TV, or as your mom called me, that sports gal from Celebrity Jeopardy. I have a new podcast called Casuals. It's a podcast for people who like sports a normal amount. No stats or spreadsheets, nary an X or O to be found. Just laid back, casual banter about home runs, hockey fights, and good old-fashioned drama. Casuals is a twice-a-week hang with me and my friends from across comedy, sports, and entertainment, where we talk about all the funny, weird, interesting stuff happening in and around the world of sports. Think of it as all the best things about sports with none of the homework. So whether you're a die-hard fan or vaguely sports curious, Casuals is the podcast for you. You can find Casuals on the SiriusXM app, Pandora, or wherever you get your podcasts. And don't forget to smash that follow button. That way you'll never miss an episode. Just try it. You can always unsmash it.